Hello again. Good to be back with you. This is, I guess it's the happy hour video, right? I've been doing those now, but it says as I sit down to record this, it's about 5:38 p.m. And one of the reasons why I'm Central Time, one of the reasons I'm off to a late start is because, well, it's been a really busy day. Did the video, did some research, wrote a column, and I spent some time answering responding to your comments and questions. Probably put in about an hour on that. So I'm a little late getting started on this one. Part two, it's the continuation of where we were this morning, early this afternoon when we were talking about Katie Woo's outstanding reporting and story in The Athletic. And, we went through all that. I would just encourage you to watch that if you haven't watched it, or go through it, whatever, and certainly read her story because she's the one that generated a lot of new opinions based on what she reported. A lot of people are commenting on it, as they should. It's great work. But I wanted to kind of get to a part two. The fact that Heim Bloom is now a full-time employee. I should say he has been a full-time employee of the Cardinals for a while now. I don't know the time, because they never announced it, that he went from consultant to full-time front office employee, front office operative. But this is a great thing from the standpoint that now we know he wants the Cardinals job and he's all in on this. And the thing about Heim Bloom, he fits exactly what the Cardinals need at this particular time, which is, he was part of that operation in Tampa Bay for a long, long time. They have just a model program for identifying draftable talent, drafting that talent, also going into the international markets and finding talent that nobody else does. Nobody bats 1,000, but boy, that Tampa Bay operation has been great for a long time. And Heim Bloom was there for a long time. In fact, Heim Bloom, even though he was very young, I came upon this. I talked to a friend of mine in the media down in the Tampa Bay area. Heim Bloom was, only a couple years into the organization there, but they thought so highly of him that they asked him to be part of the process before they hired Joe Madden to manage the team. And he was great down there. And then when Madden left to go to the Cubs, Heim Bloom was a big part of what happened next, which is they hired Kevin Cash to be the manager. And everyone's like, who? Yeah, I know he screwed up a playoff game. I get it. But he's been a really good manager of a team that, again, has precious few resources compared to the big boys, so to speak. So he's Heim Bloom's been part of two very successful managers searches, and we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, Heim Bloom knows everything about, his expertise is identifying talent, organizing a draft, drafting the players, finding the value, finding the hidden gems, and then making sure that they are developed thoroughly and properly and will be ready for the big leagues when the time comes. They don't wing it. They have a system in place that's enduring and incredibly strong, and it works. You don't win 96 games with a $50 million payroll, as they did a while back, chasing the Yankees, almost catching the Yankees, even though the Yankees are spending about, $300 million. So anyway, so he fills a real void, someone to revamp, redevelop, just do everything new from scratch to put the player development system, the minor league system with the Cardinals in much, much better shape. And he did it in Boston too. And I'm going to keep repeating this because every time, we're all in the comment section here on the Bernie Miklasz show, there's always going to be one person or two or whatever is going to say like, oh, Heim Bloom is a failure in Boston. No, he wasn't. I can point out some mistakes that he made, but he was working for an erratic owner who kept moving the goalposts on him, so to speak. And told him, oh, we want a Tampa Bay type player development system. We want a Tampa Bay minor league type system. We really want what you did down there because we're going to cut back. We're not going to spend as much. We need to have more payroll efficiency, and you can put that system in. Okay. And they said, okay, great. So as I've mentioned before, and I'll be brief. So what happens is he's doing exactly what they hired him to do. And then it's ownership got rejected by Mookie Betts and his agent, and they realized they never could sign him. And they went to Heim Bloom and said, trade him. And Heim Bloom was like, well, trade him. He traded him. And the Dodgers had all the leverage. And listen, I mentioned before, Heim Bloom, the worst thing he did, in my opinion, as the Boston general manager or the president of whatever, he signed Trevor Story to a big deal. And Trevor Story, I think, has just only recently started to play. He's probably hurt again. Didn't work out. But then again, the Red Sox ownership, instead of saying, hey, we want you to set up a Tampa Bay system, they couldn't resist. And they're like, well, we got to spend some money. We got to do something here, So they just kept pulling the rug out from under him. But you know what he did? He wasn't there all that long. He was there a couple years, 2.5 maybe. Take a look at Boston's farm system. Take a look at their minor league operation and their player development operation, and look at the huge strides they've made, right? He actually did what they wanted him to do, and then they fired him because all the fans and all the talk radio, everyone's screaming and hollering, and this is a big market. The Red Sox got to be better. Yeah, this is a disgrace. Who is this Heim Bloom? We deserve better. And they fired him. Then the owners got nervous and they fired him. But he did exactly what the hell they wanted him to do, which was put in a system where you're drafting and developing good players that are going to keep coming to the Red Sox. So anybody, so it's just, I get so sick of this stuff. Oh, he was a complete and utter failure. Why would we want him? Because you need to totally redo your minor league and player development system. And he's the right man for the job. Oh, and by the way, another thing he can do is he can find you better players at a cheaper cost than the guy who's been doing that for the Cardinals. You think you would have ever seen? I don't think Heim Bloom would have extended Miles Michaelis. I don't think he would have given Steven Matz $44 million over 4 years. I don't think he would have done a lot of things. But what he can do is he can find gems that are low cost, high value return. And the Cardinals are going to need some of that. Listen, I don't know if they're going into a full rebuild. I know that this guy is the right guy for the job of like where the Cardinals are right now. And let me tell you where, and I think you know this, but so when I say, let me tell you, that sounds arrogant. I don't mean it that way. The Cardinals are in a place, as I alluded to in the first video of the day, where, they're going to take, they're taking a step forward here because they're doing something that they've needed to do for a very long time, which is to get the player development up and running at a high level again, so they can have payroll efficiency and they can build that foundation that Jeff Luhnow had built at one point. Constant flow of young talent coming into the big league club, and they're properly taught. They've got great instructors, great coaches, all the technology, everything you need to be at your best before you get to the major leagues. So this is a big step forward. The fact that Bloom is now on board as a full-time baseball operations guy, but he's going to be overseeing the implementation. Sorry, I told you I'm punchy. Of the recommendations that he made to Bill DeWitt when Bill DeWitt hired him to do a really, really comprehensive audit of their player development / minor league system and where it's lacking and what they need to do. But he's not going to be directly overseeing player development and nothing else. As Katie Wu reported, Bloom is going to hire a new director of player development. So that means that won't be his job, although he's going to make sure that everything is implemented. And that tells me, of course, they probably already hired the guy that's going to be running the farm system, because I got to believe it's someone that Bloom knows very well and has worked with and wanted to bring here. So, but here is, let's get to the heart of the matter. Here's what I don't understand, and I saw some of you comment on this in response to the first video. Pardon me. And I was nodding, reading it, saying right on. I mean, totally right on. If you think so much of Heim Bloom that you've already taken him from consultant to giving him a major job in the front office, and you're letting him hire a director of player development, and I'm sure you're letting him do some other things, why are they dragging us out? Okay, maybe they're not. Maybe next week they're going to announce that he's moving in as president of baseball operations or some other title, and that he will have the authority over all the decisions they make. And John Mozeliak will move into the shadows, move to the side. And I know people go nuts even if he's here. I get it. But as long as Heim Bloom is calling the shots, I don't really care what they do with Mo. But here's what I don't understand. And again, I know a lot of you feel the same way. What purpose could be served to keeping Mozeliak around in a position of high authority for another year until his contract expires? You bring in Heim Bloom for a reason, because you believe you need to go in a new direction. You need new ideas. You need new vision. You need new thinkers. You need people who are more evolved, more advanced, more enlightened about how to spend money, how to scout players, how to scout potential draft picks, how to draft the right guys, how to make sure they are fully developed before they come to the major leagues. You don't want the mistakes that have been made by the current regime and that have been going on over and over and over again for way too long. If you're starting over with new leadership, and Heim Bloom is new leadership, put him in the big chair and let him take this thing and go with it. Why would you want to have, still in this orbit, still in this front office orbit, you've picked your leader and you believe in him and you're excited by him. And if you're trying to get the fans on board and to believe in you again, or just you're starting to try to earn back their trust, right? Your trust. Why in the world would you have John Mozeliak sitting there, in effect, with the kind of job where he still has a rather large voice in saying what's going to go on? Because John Mozeliak and other people in that front office, here we go. Sometimes I think I'm Italian with the hands. I don't know. Irish on my mom's side and Polish on my dad's side. Anyway, Mo and Mo's lieutenants that have been there with him a long time, they're a big part of the reason that you're in this mess, right? They are a big part of the reason of why you got to this point where your minor league system, your player development system is ramshackle. It's a mess. It's underfunded. It's understaffed. You're way behind on technology. You've let teams that you once dominated, because you, Bill DeWitt, had the advantage, established, you were way ahead of the curve in establishing a better way, a better system, and a thriving player development operation. And you gave that all the way. And you gave it all the way because you continued to trust the same people who were starting to screw up repeatedly, and let this minor league operation fall to pieces. And Bill DeWitt has a lot to do with that too, because there's no excuse whatsoever in the world ever to have an underfinanced, underfunded minor league system, because that was Bill DeWitt's strength. He used to be, what's the word? Cutting edge guy on that stuff. And all of a sudden, they don't have enough coaches, instructors. They don't have technology. They're lagging behind. But John Mozeliak, also someone in the position of power that he had, he could have really made the case stronger and more aggressively. Hey, listen, we need to invest in the minor league system. We need to get a hold of this now, because if we don't, it's going to get really bad, and we're seeing some slippage. I don't think Mo did that. If he did, he can tell us about that. But if you're trying to start fresh to win back the hearts and the minds and the trust and the credibility with your loyal fans, you want to try to just let them know, hey, it's going to be different now. We recognize we messed up, but today we start anew. And then the same people that screwed this thing up are still there. Heim Bloom might be in front, but the people that made a mess of this and were part of the decline of the St. Louis Cardinals, and the people that have been doing such a horrendous job with messaging, insulting the fans a lot of times, they're going to still be there, huh? And you think that this is going to make the fans trust you, believe in you, that this is legit, and that Heim Bloom's really in charge? You're gonna have, if they do it, they may not do it, you're gonna have Mo and Gersh, and you're gonna have all the whole gang still there. Is that right? Oh, okay. So in other words, you're trying to alienate the fans even more, right? Instead of healing the relationship. I don't know. I do not know. Another thing, Katie Wu reported in this great story of The Athletic. You need to subscribe. I'm telling you, it's worth the money. It's actually cheap to subscribe to The Athletic. I wrote for The Athletic for a year, and I still kept my subscription because I believed in what they're doing. Anyway, so Katie Wu says it looks like, Ali Marmol's going to be back. And listen, I'm not even going to talk about that because the widespread hatred of him is like, you can't even have a conversation about maybe why that would make sense. Well, one of the reasons it kind of would make sense, don't hurt me. Sorry, is because if they're entering a rebuild or whatever we're going to call it, and there's a new guy in charge, and they got a lot of work to do to kind of rebuild the foundation. So if you're going into a downturn on purpose because you need to put your money and make a priority of other matters, the way I could best explain it, I'm going to use Pete Alonso as an example. This isn't about the Cardinals this winter going out there trying to buy Pete Alonso because they need a slugger. You know what this is about, what the Cardinals are doing with Heim Bloom? They want Pete Alonso, but they want a Pete Alonso that they draft and develop. You see what I'm saying? So they don't have to go to the market and buy a guy at exorbitant prices. They want Pete Alonso. They want their own version of Pete Alonso, right? And there is a huge difference. But the thing about Marmol, the reason, look, again, go ahead and take it out on me. You can rip me. I don't care. The reason why it makes at least some sense is because I'm not saying he's Earl Weaver. I'm not saying he's Sparky Anderson. I'm not saying he's Casey Stengel. I'm not saying he's Walter Alston, right? I'm giving you some old school names, so you have to go Google them. I'm not saying he's, did I mention Earl Weaver? No. But if you're entering a rebuild phase of any kind where you're basically taking a step forward to fix a problem that is huge now, it means you're going to take a step back in terms of winning baseball games during the regular season. You're just not going to have, there's no point in throwing more money away because you got to pump a lot of your resources into this save the minor league player development system project. Well, if we're talking about like coveted managers, who wants that job right now? But Terry Francona, if he decides he wants to manage, yeah, I could hear Terry Francona now. I wish I could do his voice. Oh, I think, that's interesting. The Cardinals are about to rebuild. They got to do over their whole minor league system, and they got new farm directors in there, and they're just tearing that part down and building it up. And so they're probably going to step back in terms of the standings, and they probably got a couple years where it's going to be tough. I've had all these health problems, and I feel better. I feel like I've gotten that under control, and I'm ready to manage again. Let's see. Do I want to go to a place where I can win a World Series? Be a strong contender, go to a place for 3 or 4 years, maybe have a chance of winning a couple World Series. Do I want to go there? Oh, no, I don't want to go there. I want to go to St. Louis. I want to be part of a rebuild. Does that make any sense to anybody? Skip Schumacher. Skip Schumacher's looking at this. Do you think it's like, oh no, I don't care. I want to be. Oh, I know I'm getting great offers. I know that my agent telling me. And by the way, I'm making this up. I'm using it as a hypothetical. If the Los Angeles Dodgers belly flop early in the playoffs, they might change managers. I want to live in Southern California. That's where I'm from, and that's where my family is. So I might have a chance to manage the Dodgers or somebody better. Maybe Aaron Boone gets fired. I don't know. But no, let me go. I got out of a place where you were kind of sentenced to losing, even though I did win 1 year, Miami. But let me make sure now I go to a place where they're kind of withdrawing a little bit from putting the priority and throwing all the money into the major league payroll. Yeah, let me go to St. Louis and just like take more losses and have to go through that without a chance to win a championship. What would be his motivation? Because he was a Cardinal? Skip's got a soft spot for St. Louis. It ain't that soft, because this is all about finding the best gig, right? So that my point is, if you're going through a transition or a rebuild, and if you're delaying the handoff to Heim Bloom, if you're doing that, if you're not going to announce next week he's the guy in charge, you bring Marmol back, give him a year. Heim Bloom can pick his own manager after that, and then you can move forward. I'm just saying, it's a situation where it's just not a big deal if he comes back for another year. And I know you hate him. Okay. Duly noted. 100 million times, actually, duly noted. Just kidding. I'm not going to be running through the streets, carrying a pitchfork and a torch if he comes back another year as they begin a rebuild. It's just not going to do it. It's not that important to me, because the next time they hire a manager, I want it to be a great hire. I don't want to be a settle for this guy type of hire. And right now, this job is not a great job. Now, I'll tell you something that does irritate me, and I know it irritates you as well. Katie Wu indicated that most of the coaching staff will be back. Now, again, you're going to get mad at me, and I know another thing you're going to say. Well, you used to make fun of Dusty Blake. You called him Coach iPad. Yeah, because I didn't know much about him. And every time Valley Sports Midwest put the camera in the dugout, he's staring at an iPad. Yeah, it's Coach iPad. I actually think Dusty Blake's pretty good. And if next time I see him, I'm going to apologize to you, because I was just kind of lampooning you. I didn't know some of the stuff you were doing, and I didn't know some of the stuff you're working against, as far as the Cardinals are way behind at the major league level in terms of staffing and analytics and technology. And Dusty Blake has really helped a few of those pitchers out. You can hate him. I don't care. I believe what I believe because I know what I know. And I underestimated Dusty Blake, and I have no problem admitting that, because to me, you have more credibility if you admit you're wrong about something, rather than being, I'm the macho man. Whatever I say, that's it forever. I'm too insecure to admit that I'm wrong, so I'm not wrong. I always told my wife, if I ever like act like that, just can you put me on the backyard and just dump me there or something? I don't understand these insecure people. Anyway, um, Dusty Blake, I have no problem with him coming back because I think he's good. And I think he's doing it with not the resources that a lot of pitching coaches have. Again, shame on the Cardinals. But Katie Wu also said, she mentioned batting coaches, their contracts are up and all this other stuff. And she indicated that they would like to bring back batting coaches. So you don't have enough down in the minor leagues to properly prepare these guys. You don't have instructors that can help them with their defense or who are really smart, what they see about hitting, fresh vision, fresh ideas. You get a new set of eyes on a problem. Maybe that's what Nolan Gorman needs. Maybe that's what Jordan Walker needs. But you're not going to do that. You're going to bring back Turner Ward. You're going to, even though Goldie's probably gone, right? You're going to bring Goldie's chosen hitting coach. You're going to keep him here. And so the outcome will be different with some of these struggling young hitters at the major league level. So the outcome would be different because does this make any sense whatsoever? You can have better coaching in place. Now, if the idea is that, well, maybe Ollie's got one more year and Heim Bloom's going to pick his guy, and Heim Bloom's manager is going to want to hire his own staff, so let's kind of ride it out. And again, I'm not saying that that's the way to do it. I'm just trying to think of what is possibly in their heads. Like, what is there, the rally squirrel? Did the rally squirrel like sort of somehow get through somebody's ear hole and is just running around in there making these people crazy? Or do they just want to tick off more fans? So you're going to bring back Turner Ward, right? You got a horrendous offense, one of the 2 or 3 worst since Bill DeWitt bought the franchise. Terrible habits. Never improve or correct the habits. They take too many called strikes. They swing at too many pitches out of the zone. Guy gets off track, loses. They don't know what to do. Hit your pitch. Look for your pitch and hit it. No, thanks. That's a revolutionary thought. So do the Cardinals want to actually, so if they're going to try to re-earn the trust of their fans and they're going to try to reestablish some credibility, if they're trying to convince people, they learned from screwing up and they're now on a different course, right? You're going to bring back the same people who supervised this offense in 2024? Really? Well, good luck. Good luck. Oh, prepare for that stampede of people coming down there to buy tickets for 2025. I hope you have enough people working in the ticket office. All those orders are going to be coming in on the interweb, right? Oh, man, I don't know. I leave you with this. The Post-Dispatch a little while ago, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I think it was a column by Ben Hochman. I missed this at the time. In the winter warm-up, Bill DeWitt said that when Boston fired Heim Bloom, that DeWitt immediately thought of Heim Bloom. And let me read you the quote, okay? Because in case you missed it, because again, this one kind of slipped past us. I should speak for myself. This is Bill DeWitt, quote, "I immediately thought we could probably use someone like that to be part of the front office. Someone who's been with a small market, big market, very smart guy, to kind of help see what's going on with our organization." And interestingly, Mo thought the same thing. How about that? Mo called me 2 days later and I said, "John, this is interesting because I had the same thought about Heim Bloom. We were on the same page, which is great. I think he can be very helpful. I mean, our team has been together for a long time and you never know what else is out there." I'll say, and that maybe our guys have not been in touch with. Stuff out there that our guys have not been in touch with. The world changes. It's helpful to get the perspective from somebody who's done it with different organizations. So Bill DeWitt, in effect, is acknowledging there that his people are behind the times. They're not in touch with what's going on out there in the baseball world. There's stuff going on that maybe our guys have not been in touch with. Once again, if you knew this about your guys, why were you keeping them employed? Why were you sticking with this moldy, dusty, barnacle-covered front office that hasn't had a new idea or a new thought in like 7-8 years? And you thought so little of them because you said this at the winter warm-up. You're saying to the audience that, there's stuff going on out there maybe we're not aware of. Our guys are not in touch with. And you're still keeping them around, and you're still paying them, and you're entrusting them to run the baseball operation and to make your team better. And now you bring in Heim Bloom, which is a good move by Bill DeWitt. You bring him in, and you took off the consultant title and you put him in the front office to have a big job. But go back to what I just read you, what Bill DeWitt said in January. There's stuff out there our guys may not be in touch with. So now that you got Heim Bloom, the guy you wanted and you were excited about, I repeat, why in the world would you not hand this over to him next week or whenever you're going to announce these changes? Why would you drag this out for another season? You just told your public in January that you indicated you had concerns that maybe your guys were out of touch with the modern game. But you're going to keep them around? Even though you got your guy Heim Bloom, let Heim Bloom go hire his own people, man. Let him rebuild his own front office down there. Don't wait a year. You don't want to drag out any kind of rebuilding process. You want to tackle this thing and get after it right now. So even when the Cardinals are trying, Bill DeWitt's trying to do the right thing here, it is still so hopelessly muddled and confusing and contradictory and frankly dumb, right? That as much as I want to say, well, good for Bill DeWitt, he's finally seen the light on it. He has to an extent, but only so much because he's going to keep the cronies around. The people that got them in this jam in the first place. I think I've done enough hollering. You get the point by now. I hope I speak for many of you. I'm just venting my frustration. So I'm doing it for you as well, because I know you share many of these frustrations. And I know the Cardinals, I know the people that matter. I know they watch these videos. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get calls about that. Get little emails, some text messages. Anyway, you have a wonderful weekend. Looking forward to some college football tomorrow, baby. I haven't had time to make any picks. Can't wait for Georgia and Bama. Can't wait for Penn State and Illinois. And there's some other ones. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back in all likelihood Monday, unless something happens that prompts me to hook this whole thing up again. Thank you again for your support. Please subscribe, hit the like button, all that stuff. And thank you for being so good to me.